Postgraduate Studies and Research at KMCT Medical. Today's session is of great significance, especially for doctors, postgraduate students, and interns, as it addresses the legal challenges and complexities that are increasingly becoming part of modern medical practice. In a field where compassion and care are paramount, it is equally essential to be aware of the legal framework that governs our profession. Before we move on to the expert talk, I would like to invite the driving force behind this event, Professor Dr. Jija MC, who has been instrumental in organizing this insightful session. Professor Dr. Jija MC is Director, Department of Postgraduate Studies and Research, and their dedication to academic excellence and knowledge sharing is truly commendable. May I now request Professor Dr. Jija MC to kindly deliver the introductory speech and set a tone for the session. Over to you, ma'am.
Good morning, everyone. Respected Chairman, Dr. Moidu sir, Director, Dr. Nawaz sir, Executive Trustee, Dr. Aisha Nasreen, Madam, Principal, Dr. Vijay Venugopal, our Chief Guest, Dr. Srikumar Vasudevan. It is my pleasure to invite you, to welcome you all to this session, the talk on litigations in clinical practice, a current scenario, where we are going to explore the recent insights and developments. And it is an honor for us to have Dr. Srikumar Vasudevan, an eminent personality who's with passion to share his knowledge in medical ethics, medical laws, and related topics. For our postgraduate students, interns, and faculties, I am sure this session will be highly informative, engaging, and also relevant to their current studies and future practices. And as you know all that this medical ethics and medical law are two essential aspects of our profession, that is medical profession, and it is crucial for us to have stayed updated and informed. Okay, so today's talk promises to be an enlightening session, and I am confident that it will trigger meaningful discussions and reflections. So without further delay, I invite Dr. Srikumar Vasudevan to share his expertise. And welcome you all once again. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We are honored to have with us our distinguished speaker, Dr. Srikumar Vasudevan, one of the doctors from Kerala to reach the IMA leadership at national level.
Sorry, I missed our head of the department, anesthesia, and our ortho department, and other faculties are there. Sorry, sir. Okay.
He has been instrumental in formulating IMA guidelines for doctors on medical ethics. Dr. Srikumar also served as Secretary of UNESCO Bioethics Chair at Calicut when our HOD, Dr. Jayakrishnan, Department of Community Medicine, was Chairman. He hailed from Talasheri, a place famous for cricket as well as cake. And he is also serving as a Chairman in Institutional Ethics Committee at MVR Cancer Center, Talasheri. I encourage all of you to make the most of this session by actively participating and clarifying any queries you may have. Without further delay, let us warmly welcome Dr. Srikumar Vasudevan to share his knowledge and expertise with us. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I think I must thank the management and Dr. Jija and all the other faculties for having invited me here today and for giving me an opportunity to address such a vast number of PG students, house surgeons, and faculty members. Well, today the topic is litigations in medical practice, the current scenario. See, medical profession has been considered to be one of the most noble professions. However, it's not immune to negligence as a result of a little lack of care or lack of skills, resulting in sometimes injuries and sometimes even death. Unfortunately, the interpretation of the laws dealing with medical negligence by the various courts and by the law enforcing agents have resulted sometimes in the unfair or unfortunate convictions of doctors and they being punished. As a result of which today doctors have started practicing defensive medicine. What I meant to say was defensive medicine means they're not willing to take risks. And in medical practice, if you don't take risks, it will be very difficult. It's not for us, for the society by and large, that doctors do so many things by taking risks. But if they are not going to take risks, they save a lot of lives by taking risks. But if you're not going to take risks, it will finally be the society which will be suffering. I think this is an interactive session also. How many of you know this person? Can any of you identify this person? Anyone? It will not be just a one-way thing. I want any of you know this person? No one. Okay. Well, this is Dr. Archana Sharma. Dr. Archana Sharma, who left for a heavenly abode on the 29th of March 2022, exactly 1 week short of 3 years. I'm paying homage to her before I go further. She, as you know, she was a gold medalist. She was a gynecologist. She was a gold medalist. She was an assistant professor in one of the medical colleges of Gujarat. Later, she started working in her own hospital in Rajasthan. She was a very prominent gynecologist and obstetrician. Unfortunately, on the 29th of March 2022, she delivered a baby. Normal delivery, everything was smooth. But after that, the patient developed PPH. Despite her efforts, the patient died. And when the patient died, she was informed that she's going to be arrested by the police for criminal negligence. She was so perturbed that she committed suicide. And her last words were this: I have done nothing wrong and not killed anyone. PPH is a known complication, so stop harassing doctors so much over it. Perhaps my death might prove my innocence. Don't harass innocent doctors. My dear friend, I want to say that she shouldn't, her innocence could have easily been proved without her taking such a drastic step. Unfortunately, she died because she wasn't aware of the provisions in the law that protects a doctor from criminal negligence. All the doctors, I think, should be aware of what are the rights, liberties, what are the rights we have. We are not aware. We should be. At the same time, the general public, they have changed. Patients are more demanding. They feel that they are more entitled to good standards of medical care from their doctors. And when they feel that they have not got what they really want, they have been going on a legal shopping. Because they've been going on a legal shopping because there are various avenues for them to go legally. Okay, now I'll ask, how many of you know which are the courts which are the places, avenues that patients can go against doctors? Anyone? Come on. Anyone? What are the avenues that patients have? Can you tell me? Come on, I think you know. It's not that you're feeling shy. There's nothing, see, it's just a closed door session. It's not that we're not going to give you marks for it. So you can tell, even if you make a mistake, it's okay. Well, it is criminal courts are there, civil courts are there, consumer courts are there, medical council is there, Human Rights Commission, Women's Commission, and Lok Adalat, and Child Rights Commission. So there are so many avenues that a patient can go and give a complaint against a doctor for negligence. But unfortunately, as far as doctors are concerned, doctors think of law only when they have a case of medical negligence. I'm happy that there are so many students here. But when I go around the state and the country giving talks on these subjects. But people generally think that this is not of importance. And the attendance is poor. But these very doctors who didn't attend, when they have a case they call me up. Srikumar, ingane cheri prashna undu, enda cheyanda. All that I had told in the IMA hall, I had to repeat personally to them. So I think whenever you get an opportunity, let this be part of a curriculum. Let this knowledge be there with you throughout your life. I hope you don't get into any litigations, but still you should be aware of the laws that govern your practice. This does not mean that you have to be a lawyer, but this is neither possible nor is it desirable. But we should know some of the laws that, that framework that guides your practice, so that we can adjust accordingly, laying stress on communication, documentation, consent, and value-based scientific practice. This is a landmark judgment, Jacob Matthews versus State of Punjab on the 5th of August 2005. Have you ever heard of this? I'm not asking you the details. Have you ever heard of this? No. Good. Someone has told me he hasn't heard. That is what I want, interaction, not that you remain silent. Well, friends, this was a landmark judgment by the Supreme Court in August 2005. By the then Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Justice R.C. Lahoti, Justice G.P. Mathur, and Justice P.K. Balasubramaniam. They were of the view that the number of criminal cases being hoisted against doctors were on the increase. They also felt that neither the investigating officer nor the complainant had enough knowledge on medical science to decide whether a case of negligence, if at all it exists, whether it is of criminal in nature. They felt that once a doctor is charged of criminal negligence, he is both embarrassed and harassed. He has to take a bail for it, which he may or may not get. And at the end, if he is exonerated or acquitted of all the accusations, the damage caused to his reputation can never be returned, can never be compensated. So they exhorted the Union Government of India and the state governments to take out certain guidelines for prosecution of doctors under criminal offense. And this is 2005, and till now the Union Government has not taken it out. And they said, okay, we will set a certain guidelines. Till then, till the government takes up. And they said the first thing there was that for a investigating officer to think that he has done criminal negligence, there should be gross negligence. Gross negligence means he must have done something which a doctor in his ordinary senses of prudence would not have done it. Okay. And even, okay, one number, he should have done something which an ordinary doctor in his true sense of prudence would not have done it, or he failed to do something, which he, as a doctor, he should do something to save the patient. If he didn't do that, in his ordinary sense, a doctor in his ordinary senses would have done something. If he failed to do that, also that is criminal negligence. Then they said that if a person is giving a private complaint against a doctor, he should bring adequate evidence from another doctor to say that this act was negligent. The third protection was that the investigating officer, before charging a patient of criminal negligence, should take an independent view of an independent doctor, preferably from the government service, in the same speciality, to prove that he has been done, there is negligence. And after all that, even if everything happens, still he should not be arrested as they arrest other criminals. Because only if he feels that he would cause some problem in the investigations, or he would not cooperate with the investigation, only then. So these were the things that was told by the Supreme Court in 2005. But thankfully, you live in a state where IMA had taken up this matter long ago. We had got a protection, a circular memorandum in 1994, which was modified in 2004 and further modified in 2007. And this circular memorandum exists. I think every doctor should be aware of this. Because I just sincerely hope you don't get into a problem. But if you get into a problem, you should be firm enough to say that the police officer may come and threaten you, so many politicians may come and threaten you, but you should stand firm and say, IMA will be there to support you, but you should be, within you, you should have the courage to face it. Because we have, when a case of criminal negligence has to be charged against you, when he gets it should be investigated by a DYSP. The DYSP, first thing he has to do is he has to refer it to the DMO, District Medical Officer. There will be, at the district level, there will be a committee, and the convener of that will be the District Medical Officer. The other people in that will be the district government pleader or the public prosecutor, a senior government doctor in the concerned specialty, and a forensic expert. And it has been, all the 14 districts have been divided. And what do? They look into the case sheets. They may call you, they may not call you, but they will look into your case sheets, and prima facie, they will study this matter, and then they will tell, okay. There are 3 options that they can give. One option is, all the 4 people will say that there is criminal negligence. Or all the 4 people will say, unanimously say that there is no criminal negligence. I think. And the third option will be, there will be difference of opinion. I think these are the 3 options that can happen, isn't it? If all the committee says, all the committee members say there is no negligence, the investigating officer can go to the apex body or the state level body. If all the 4 says that there is criminal negligence, the doctor has the right to go to the apex committee. And if there is difference of opinion, then the DYSP has to go to the apex committee. So these are the complainant does not have the right to go to the apex body. And when you go to the apex body, who is the apex body? Here, there is the DHS, who is the convener. There will be the DME, there will be the ADHS, Vigilance, and Director General Prosecution, these 4 people. They will also incorporate the experts from that specialty. Here again, they will look into your case sheets, they may even call you and then decide. Now even if this committee says that, okay, there is prima facie negligence, still don't worry. Because at once they will not arrest you. You can take a bail and you be ready with it. Then the case goes on. So don't get perturbed like what Archana Sharma. It's unfortunate that Dr. Archana Sharma committed suicide because she was not aware of it. That is the problem. If she was aware of these rules and regulations, she wouldn't have taken such a drastic steps. So that is why I say that doctors should be aware of the laws that govern your practice. And this expert panel has to give its views within 60 to 90 days. Okay. Now, what is an expert opinion? Why I put this slide? Whenever I put this slide, expert opinion, because many of you who are now here may become expert opinion. You may be in the medical college, you may be in the health service, you may be called as an expert in the court of law by these apex committee or the district committee. Even you should know some of the things. What I have experienced as 3.5 years of PP scheme secretary, 3 years of PP scheme chairman, and now 2.5 years of the national PP scheme, I have observed one thing. That expert opinions, when you ask, I have a request that you inform and guide. So I request, I have a request to all of you, if you are called as an expert, don't refuse. Don't refuse, especially from the medical college faculty, if they are called, because you may be called somewhere far off. They will provide all the TA and all, but then people say, that is what has happened many a times. So please don't refuse to come. This is one chance where you can help your colleague. Different protocols. See, when you treat an ailment, there may be protocol A, protocol B, protocol C. That's written in the standard textbooks. You may be following protocol B because you feel that is the right one, protocol A and protocol C is not correct. You are not comfortable with it. But that doesn't mean that is wrong. As an expert, when you give an expert opinion, there are people who say that protocol A and protocol C is wrong, and that unfortunately that person has done protocol A. The court says that protocol A, your expert opinion says the protocol A is wrong. Please don't do it. You can say that I do protocol B, but protocol A is also correct. It is there in the standard textbooks. So this is very important. The second important thing which you should remember is sometimes the court of law takes years together. In 2000, what is happening in 2025? When the case comes, it will be sometime 2035. You may be called as a witness 10 years. Within 10 years, science has developed. Medical science, there's a lot of changes happening. What was happening in 2015 is not what is happening in 2025. What are the facilities available in a small town from where I come, Talasheri, is not what it is in Calicut. Today we have MRIs and CT scan. In 2015, we didn't have MRIs in Talasheri. Now, if an expert witness from Calicut comes and says that you should have done an MRI, it's unfortunate. Because MRI is available in Calicut, it's not available in Talasheri. That you should understand. The circumstances under which a doctor is working. This is very important. He says in the court of law, you should have done MRI. MRI, why did you proceed without doing an MRI? So, this is very, very important. You should see the circumstances, the time, the area where he is working and say. And indifferent attitude. You will not be surprised that, I will not say the district, two gynecologists and one anesthetist. There was a case where a hysterectomy was done and the patient died. An expert was called from another district. He had worked abroad for many years. He claims to be a cardiothoracic surgeon, but he said that I have done more than 100 hysterectomies. And he gave an expert opinion that if you want to do hysterectomy, you should have a cardiologist, a cardiothoracic surgeon, you should have a neurologist, then only you should do. That is what he said in the court of law. And they were convicted. This went up to the Supreme Court and they had to pay compensation. Unfortunately, it was not a criminal case, it was a civil case. And PP scheme, then PP scheme secretary, we paid the compensation. But it's unfortunate. So this you should not have the indifferent attitude. And you should know what is the difference between a criminal negligence and civil negligence. As I said, criminal negligence means something which you have done, which in ordinary senses would not have done, or you fail to do something in your ordinary senses. That is the most important. Just negligence is not criminal negligence. You can say that when you are in the district committee or in the apex committee, you can say there is negligence, but it doesn't amount to criminal negligence. It can be civil negligence. You are being fair, but don't say that I am trying to say I cannot be like that. I can't just say lies. I am not asking you to say lies. I am asking you to be faithful. I am asking you to be true. Because the why you said it is criminal, because you are not aware of what is criminal negligence, what is civil negligence. As a doctor, you may say that, oh, I didn't know that. That very often when they come out and then they say, we ask them, why did you say that? That is ignorance. But because of our ignorance, another doctor is prosecuted. So this is very important. What are the acts leading to criminal offenses? There are certain acts in our medical practice which leads to criminal offenses. There is the PCP&DT Act. How many of you know about PCP&DT Act? Please, you must be. Yes, very good. Anyone else knows? I'm not going to ask you questions. I just want to you raise your hands if you have no PCP&D. Yes, very good. See, PCP&DT Act is just not for the radiologist or for the gynecologist. Anyone who uses an ultrasound machine, we should be knowing what is PCP&DT Act and what are the rules that exist in the PCP&DT Act. Okay. Nowadays, what is called the POCUS, point of care ultrasonography, where everyone uses, orthopedicians use, anesthetists use, the EDs use, pulmonary medicine use. They all use ultrasound, but you should be aware, even cardiologists, the echo machine is coming under PCP&DT Act. It's an ultrasound machine. So all of you who is going to use an ultrasound should read the PCP&D guidelines, because it's a criminal offense if you make mistake. And POXO Act. You have all heard POXO Act, or the newspaper lo vaichitundam. But how many of you actually know about the POXO Act? The dangers that lurk is in it. Yes, some people have raised their hands, they have no POXO Act. Every doctor, I wouldn't say doctor, every person, but I request, even if he's a student, even if he's a house surgeon, even if he's a PG student, anyone, every doctor should know what is a POXO Act. Because if a child who is being sexually assaulted comes to you and it has been revealed to you, and if you don't inform the authorities, either the police or the child line, you will be prosecuted for criminal offense. There are instances when the mother or the child itself will catch your feet and say, Doctor, please, ningal parayaradu, njan suicide you. This happens. I'm not joking. This happens. They catch your leg and say, Doctor, please, aarodum parayaradu, njan suicide you. You also get scared. I suicide njan kudugu. Isn't it? Or you sympathize with them and you don't tell. Later it is revealed that they had come and told you, you had it. So what you do is you sympathize with them, you talk to them, but you also inform the police and the child line, or the child line. You may not know the child line number, at least you know the police number, police station number. The rest, you leave it to them. They might commit suicide, that fear. If this happens, if you don't remember, sometimes you might have to commit suicide for unnecessarily. So this is a very important thing which you should. We all have sympathies toward patients, but not at our own risk. So every doctor, you may be just after passing out MBBS, you may be working as a casualty medical officer in some hospital. Such a thing happens. You realize that there is a sexual assault on a child, you have to report. MTP Act is another act which has to be, these are the acts which all of you should be knowing. And as I said, the PCP&D Act, the punishment is same for all. I've already said. The doctor, this POXO Act, I'm not going to. Then, I've said all this, don't get scared. Behind every problem, there is a solution. So don't get scared. Now he is coming and scaring us. We are just going to start our practice. He is coming and scared. No, I'm just trying to inform you. Don't scare. There are provisions. There are, where we can manage things. First and foremost, if an unfortunate incident happens, the most important thing is do not panic. Why? If you panic, what happens? When you panic, your thoughts go astray. You cannot think properly, isn't it? And when you cannot think properly, what happens? Your thoughts go astray, the problem will swallow you. And if you organize yourself, if your thoughts are well organized, you can swallow the problem. This is very important. And how do you organize yourself? You organize yourself, one is proper documentation. Documentation. If there are house surgeons here, if there are PG students here, just as you compete with yourself to do a surgery or to see a patient, similarly you should compete yourself to write the case sheet. Because if there is any place where you can learn how to write a proper case sheet, it is in this place, in the medical college. Because you have teachers there who will guide you. It is very important that you write case sheet. I say the more you write, the better you write. I have seen consultants who just tell me, no, I've been talking this in various places, but when as a PP scheme secretary, I had, there will be a complaint of about 8 pages against the doctor. I will inform the doctor, ningala version on the 1 page. Trained out, our prescription. That is all they have to say. And you look into the case sheet, nothing is there. Why do I say that documentation is so important? Can any of you tell me? Please. Why do I say that documentation? Why do I say that documentation is so very important? Please. Yes? Tell. Yes. Very good. If an unfortunate incident is occurring on the 22nd of March 2025, and you have done everything for the patient, everything under the sun that you can do to help the patient, you have done. This will come up in the court of law maybe in 2027 or 2028. And in front of the judicial officer, how much ever you say, I did this, I did that, that is of no use. But if it is not written in the case sheet, what is written in the case sheet is what you have done for the patient. That is evidence. What she said is correct. That is evidence. So 2028, when it goes, everything should be in your case. Even if you have not done, ensure that it is written in the case sheet. That is very important. So case sheet writing is an art, and you have to develop that. And it should be, routinely you should do it. For all procedures you should do it. Just write. Because you do not know when. Because when you get into a problem, you will not be able to, think properly. So if it becomes a habit. It will come automatically if you routinely write. And presence of colleagues I have written. Presence of colleagues means when you, as I said, you will be a little perturbed. If you have people around you who will help you, they will give you ideas, okay. And communication skill. I have written communication skill with 2 asterisks there. How many of you have been taught how to break bad news? Anyone? Anyone has been taught how to break bad news? None. I also have not been taught how to break bad news. None of us have been taught. In fact, it's one of the most important things because we break bad news. We have the opportunity to break bad news repeatedly in different places. But unfortunately, we have been given no training. We envisage our own methods, which may be right, may not be right. But do you know of a protocol that how to break bad news? Anyone has heard? No. Have you heard Spike's protocol? No. It's a topic on its own. I have gone and talked of this Spike's protocol, breaking bad news throughout the state, even in other states. And I'm telling you, I've gone to Delhi, Bombay, Nagpur, Hyderabad, Chennai, all these places. And I believe it or not, till date, only 7 people have said that they knew what is how to break bad news. They had been taught, or they know what is Spike's protocol. Only 7 people. It's unfortunate, but it's very important that you know what is Spike's protocol. It's a topic on its own. I'm not going into it. It just you should remember Spike stands for setting up of the interview. P is perception. I is invitation. K is knowledge. E is empathy. And S is strategy. This is a way how you break the bad news. There's a way, scientific methodology of how to break bad news, but we do not know that. So this is very important. And death declaration. So when there is a habit of going and declaring prematurely. Death, not that prematurely means not before the death is occur. No, after the death is you just go and tell immediately. Or if not you, your sisters will, the nursing staff may go and say. You should time it very properly. You know what I meant by timing it? You should, you should time it properly, because if you inform it immediately, those people will inform the police. The police will come and take away your case sheet before you can write. And as I said, Adharika evidence is case sheet lo pagdi ezhuditundavulu, because you are trying to help save that patient and you didn't have the time to write the case sheet. But then I was taking classes in KUSAT on ethics, and there one of the judicial officers had come. And I asked him this question, sir, this is what is happening in our institutions. Police come and take away. You know what he said? I'm sharing it with you. He said, at once, write an email to the SP, first to the DYSP, to the SP, to the IG, to the DGP, to the Home Minister, to the Chief Minister, on that very day, that my case sheet has been taken away forcefully. But that is you write an email, don't write any letter or by post and all. But the email is evidence that it has been taken away by forcibly before I could complete my case sheet. Because in the court of law, you can say that. Because very often this happens. And you should inform the police if there is a death. And as I said, as far as the case sheet is concerned, consent. Why do we stress on consent? Can you tell me? Why do I stress on consent? Whom does it protect? It protects us. What you should understand is consent protects us. They have given you the consent that you can do anything on me. And that is what we ignore. Surgeons, I have seen, they don't even look whether the consent has been there. Sister, I consented, finished, that is all. I tell the anesthetist, and when I go to talk to anesthetist, I said, see, the surgeon will come rushing, he'll just wash and put his gloves and start operating. And the he will not look at the consent. At least you should look into the consent. Consent is very important. And test dose, even if you give, the side should be written. It's very important that the side should be written. Note all details. When you go to I'm not talking about note, when you go, when you write a case sheet, write everything systematically. The procedure, you write a few words on the procedure you have done. And every visit I have seen. See, there are sometimes you do 2-3 cases in a day. You have done the first case, then the second case you have done, the patient goes to the post-op. The third case is being made ready. You just go to visit the second patient. You see the first patient. You will definitely, as a surgeon, we will go and see that patient. Hello, okay, but we don't document it. I request you to write at least 2 sentences about that patient in your case sheet. Because in the court of law, you have been continuously monitoring that patient is there. So every time you visit, see that you write 2 sentences about the status of the patient. Doctor's orders and nurse's record. This is very important. Sometimes the doctor's order and the nurse's record are entirely different. This has happened in the case sheet. The nurse and timing is very important. That is, very often what has happened, the nurse has kodutha and ezhudi vekkum. Nurse inject cheytha vaada avade ezhudi vekkum. Ningalellam kazhinju surgery ellam kazhinju ezhudumbo ingane nokko 12 mani, okay, start, and you start from there. In the court of law, that the advocate says, ഇത് nurses record 11 മണിക്ക് കൊടുത്തിട്ടുണ്ടെന്നാ ഡോക്ടർ 12 മണിക്ക് അത് എഴുതിയിട്ടില്ല. This is what they say. That means it has been fabricated. That is what they say. So you should see that the nurses record and the doctors records, they are tallying. Police privilege, as I said, taking away a case sheet is their privilege. They just take it away. And should maintain record for a minimum of 3 years. This is something which I have been getting calls. So many years people have been asking me, എത്ര കൊല്ലം ഞങ്ങൾ records maintain ചെയ്യണം? You should maintain it for 3 years is what the MCI guidelines and the NMC guidelines, newly laid on NMC which has been withdrawn, says that it is 3 years. But I would request you, keep it for 5 years. Why keep it for 3 years? But if there is a medical legal case in one of the things, keep it till the case is disposed. Don't say that Srikumar and the vanittu varnu moonu valle vakkandu adu kayinjan destroyed. Don't say that. I said only for those cases which are not having any of this thing, litigations. And supply a copy of the medical records within 72 hours, I have written. It is 72 hours or 7 working days. NMC guidelines says 7 working days. And they say that it is 72 hours. The MCI guidelines says it is 72 hours. What is this? That is, very often I get a call. Srikumar, the patient ആൾക്കാർ വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട് എന്നോട് ചോദിക്കുന്ന അതിൻ്റെ റെക്കോർഡ് വേണം. ആ പേഷ്യൻ്റ് കേസ് ഷീറ്റ് ഞങ്ങളെ പ്രോപ്പർട്ടി അല്ല, ഞങ്ങൾ എന്തിനാണ് കൊടുക്കുന്നത്? Definitely, case sheet is your property. But they have the right to get a copy of that case sheet. And it is your responsibility to give it. You cannot deny them. But then, there is a procedure. Even if the radiologist, they will lose sometimes they will lose the report. It will be there in your computer. If they ask, you can give a report, write, duplicate and give. But there is a procedure. First and foremost, they have to give a request, a written request. A written request should be first taken, and then you give a copy of the case sheet, not the original, a copy of the case sheet. And when you give a copy of the case sheet, you get a receipt from them that you have received a copy of the case sheet of so-and-so patient. And mention the number of pages in that, because it should not be tampered. They will say, this is what they do. You will be surprised by the way the advocates sometimes fabricate the whole story. So you should be careful in these aspects. And consent, I'll just rush through because it's such an important thing. And it's a part and parcel of our practice. So implied consent means the very fact that he comes to your OPD and sits and puts his hand and you see his BP and all, that is implied consent. It is implied. He's come to your room means he's come for that. You don't have to take any separate consent. But you take express consent, the oral or when you do a written consent for all major procedures and all those things. And the consent is in the patient's own handwriting. Sometimes, all hospitals have a printed consent form. Either it is in English or in vernacular language. We have lot of, people, Malayalis, if it is an English and our own people do not understand English, or if there are Anya Samsthana Tholaliyar, no, we have a lot of people here. Even if it is in Malayalam, they will not understand. So what you should do is, at the end of it, they should write in their own language that they have read and understood and agreed with it. They can sign it, and at the end of it, they should write that. Time and consent, time of the consent and date should be mentioned, 2 independent witnesses. Okay. Now there are sometimes they refuse to do, you say that you have to do a surgery. Or ectopic pregnancy one, no, you say that you have to do a surgery, you have to do a laparotomy. We are nothing doing, then you say that, then okay, you go somewhere else, that they will not go. Then you give then sometimes they will say, then what you should ask? You should say, then you give a written consent that you refuse treatment. That is called negative consent. But even that they will refuse. Adun they do. In that case, what you will do? You will ask 2 other bystanders of another patient with their identity card or some identifying thing and write down that this so and so patient really refused to give. This is the only way you can escape, because you have to deal with it. But very often when you do all this, they will agree to the procedure, or they will leave that hospital. So that is, these are very, intricate. You will not know what to do at that moment of time. And there are some areas where the consent is not required. Okay, tell me that. where consent is not required. You can do procedures without doing where consent is not required. Can you tell me anyone? At least one or two. Come on. Yes, he is catching his throat and telling. Yes, tracheostomy. A patient has come, accident victim has come. You've been brought into the ED and someone else has brought him. Some bystander, some person on the road has brought him here. You can't take consent from him, he is unconscious. His relatives are not there. It's an emergency. You have to do it. So in that case, a tracheostomy accident, you have to do. Number two, when there is new admission to the prisons, food handlers and dairymen, immigrants, members of the armed forces, under the court order, a request by the police. Okay. This is another area where, doctors get into problem. That is post-mortem. You say that whenever there is an unnatural death or there is a death due to some you have done some procedure and the patient dies. Routinely death, but some unnatural death, something has happened and you, or PPH adichu and the patient dies, or hysterectomy and the patient dies, then you should insist. You should insist for the post-mortem. Why? Why? Because you can tell in the court of law, the court will say that it will identify exactly what you have said. It will be identified in the post-mortem report. So that is evidence in your favor. So you should insist. Sometimes people will say that we will not do things. There are doctors who will tell you, pressurize post-mortem case. There are people who will advise you that, doctors will advise you that, but don't fall for that. Insist. Now, if they are not willing, get a negative consent, as I said, that they are not willing, but still inform the police. You have to inform the police, and finally it is the police who takes the decision. Very often, you all must have got, you're all doctors, you all must have got, I have get a lot of calls from non-doctors telling me, Srikumar, നീ ഒന്ന് എൻ്റെ റിലേറ്റീവ് ഉണ്ട്, അവർക്ക് പോസ്റ്റ്മോർട്ടം ഡോക്ടർ പറയുന്ന പോസ്റ്റ്മോർട്ടം വേണം, നീ ഒന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഒഴിവാക്ക് പോലീസ്. ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് നോട്ട് യു ഹു ഡിസൈഡ്സ് വെദർ പോസ്റ്റ്, ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് യുവർ റെസ്പോൺസിബിലിറ്റി ടു ഇൻഫോം ദ പോലീസ്. ഇത് ദ പോലീസ് എന്താ അറിയാമോ, പോലീസ് പറയും ഡോക്ടർ വേണ്ടാന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഞാൻ ഒഴിവാക്കി തരാം. You can't do it. And why should you do it? It is for the police to say that no, it is not required. But the police will put it in your head. So never fall for it. And never go and call another person and say, postmortem odivak. You may be a friend, maybe in the forensic department or some other department. You say that, no, odivaki kodukku. No. It's okay. You don't go and say. And sometimes there is a problem, the police will call you. So there is a complaint against a doctor. Police upon the doctor and phone, they'll ring you up and tell, doctor, you have a complaint and you have a case, death and inquiry and you should cooperate. They will sometimes tell doctor on the Sameta Chuvacha on the Verambatua, and Opil. They forego all ego. Why I said this is happening? I tell you, this is happening. I am talking from my experience. Doctors, colleagues will say, hospital doctor, nothing like that. Doctor has no extra privilege that the DOSP will come to your hospital. DOSP do come. That is their discretion. But if they call you, you have to go. Don't don't do all that. You go. Why do you want to rub them on the wrong side? They are just inquiring. Suppose I hit you. You go and give a complaint. They will come and ask me questions. I have to give them an explanation. That is all that they are asking. So don't forego all that ego and say, sometimes the police, I have no instances where the police has come to the hospital and the doctor knows that the DVSP is sitting outside and he goes to the OT and sits there. Because and then the DVSP sits for about half an hour, 1 hour and then he goes back. But DVSP will keep that in his mind. Do you think the DVSP is not knowing that fellow is there? It is not the doctors alone. There are staffs who will go and tell the DVSP, doctor, This happens. I'm telling from my experience. So please don't do it. Cooperate with the investigations. And take a colleague along, because you will be a little scared of what is happening. You take a colleague along. Because when you go to the police station, those who are in the government sector, they are quite brave. I always say that. Government sector, whether the government medical college or health service, because they have been going to the courts, they are not. But those who are in the private sector, they get scared. So you take a colleague along with you and discuss with the staff and other doctors involved, because the police officer is going to discuss with ask them also. You should all be telling the same thing. You can't give different versions. And then what happens is when they'll ask you a lot of questions, and you will see that one constable or some junior officer will be writing down the whole thing. At the end of it, if they don't ask you to sign, well and good. But if they ask you to sign, you read it. Don't time your OP. And OP, 12 മണിക്ക് ഞാൻ OP വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ഇതിപ്പം 11:45. ഞാനിത് വായിച്ചു തീരുമ്പോഴത്തേ 12 കഴിയും. No. If you are going to sign it, it means that you are accepting all that is written. Sometimes what you have said and what they have interpreted from your version, it might be different. So take extra time, sit and read that. If you are asked to see, if you are not signed, well and good. It's not, when it goes to the court of law, you can say that he has written, I have not signed it. But if you have signed it, you are accepting what is written in that. That means you have told the investigating officer all this. You can't deny it. So whenever if you're not signing, it's okay. If you're signing, read it. And if there is something which you have said and what is written is wrong, see that it is corrected. Nothing to worry. Police onnum cheyilla. Or you say, I will not sign this, because this is not what I said. You should be bold enough to say this. You should be bold enough to say, no, put your foot down. I have not said this. This is not what I meant. You have written something which I have not meant. They will change. Or you don't sign. And there are sometimes some criminal case vannu. Ivada kodadil case vannu, then ivada ottirpakki. Patient alkar paisa ellam koduthu ningal ottirpakki. Oh, samadhanai, തീർന്നു. സമാധാനമൊന്നുമല്ല. അവിടെ കേസ് എങ്ങനെ നടക്കുന്നുണ്ട്, ബിക്കോസ് സ്റ്റേറ്റ് ഇസ് ദ പ്രോസിക്യൂട്ടർ. മനസ്സിലായില്ലേ? ഫൈനലി യു വിൽ സീ ദാറ്റ് ദ കേസ് അവിടെ നിന്നാണ്. യു ആർ നോട്ട് ബോതർഡ്, യു ആർ നോട്ട് ഫോളോയിങ് ദ കേസ്. നിങ്ങളുടെ വക്കീൽ ഹാജരാകുന്നില്ല, യൂണിലാറ്ററലി ദേ വിൽ ഡിക്ലെയർ. ഡോണ്ട് ഡു ദാറ്റ്. സീ ദാറ്റ് ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് ക്ലോസ്ഡ് ഇൻ ദ കോർട്ട്. നിങ്ങളിപ്പോൾ എന്തെങ്കിലും ചെയ്യുന്നത്, സീ ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് ക്ലോസ്ഡ് ഇൻ ദ കോർട്ട്, നോട്ട് ദാറ്റ് യു ജസ്റ്റ് അണ്ടർഹാൻഡ് നിങ്ങൾ അവരുമായിട്ട് ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്തിട്ട് ഒരു അണ്ടർസ്റ്റാൻഡിങ്ങിൽ എത്തിയിട്ട് സെറ്റിൽഡ് തന്നെ സുഖമായി കിടന്നുറങ്ങരുത്. ഇറ്റ്സ് വെരി ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻറ്റ്. Now there are consumer courts. How many of you know what are the different type of consumer courts? Arya, you should know all this. There is 3 types. One is at the district level, district commission, state commission, national commission. 3 courts are. And district commission എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ up to 1 crore നിങ്ങൾ ചിലവായിട്ടുണ്ടെന്ന് പേഷ്യൻ്റ് അവർക്ക് അവിടം വരെ കൊടുക്കാം. ആൻഡ് സ്റ്റേറ്റിൽ 1 crore to 10 crores, നാഷണൽ അബൌട്ട് 10 crores. എത്ര വേണമെങ്കിലും കോമ്പൻസേഷൻ ചോദിക്കാം. You can go to the state. It was not like, it was 5 lakhs initially. In 1996 when it came, consumer, 1996, it was 5 lakhs. അതാണ് ഇപ്പം 1 crore ആയത്. 10 lakhs, 50 lakhs അത് ഇപ്പം about 10 crores ആയത്. And if you appeal, if you lose a case in the district court, when you go to the higher court, state commission, you pay 50% and then go for an appeal. These are all problems which PP scheme is now facing. You go to the national commission within 30 days. Okay. Now, this is one draconian thing that has happened in the amendment which has come in the 2019. 2019 പുതിയ consumer act വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. The other one has been deleted and this has been put. And this is one. A complainant, initially it was complainant അവൻ്റെ place of the doctor's place of residence. If there are a number of doctors, ഏതെങ്കിലും ഒരു ഡോക്ടർ റെസിഡൻസിൻ്റെ ആ ഡിസ്ട്രിക്റ്റിൽ കൊടുക്കാം. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ the place where it happened, where the hospital is situated. ഈ 3 സ്ഥലത്തേ കൊടുക്കാൻ പറ്റുള്ളൂ. ഇപ്പോഴ് അവനെവിടെ താമസിക്കുന്ന അവിടെ കൊടുക്കാം. Now we have a fellow who come from Assam. You have treated him, he can go to Assam and give a complaint in his village, that district. You will have to go. Imagine. This is the problem. We have to handle all these issues. And they can give within 2 years. Within 2 years, they can give in the consumer court. Sometimes, suppose amputation nadannu, and that fellow can even ask, 2.5 years the court will condone that 6 months delay. He will say, "Njan artificial limb nu vendi Jaipur poi, adonde enakku case kodukkanum samayam kittiyilla, adinu vendi njan kore rehabilitation vendi njan kore samayam chelavakki, so condone that delay." They will condone. So actually, you should give it within 2 years. And civil case, you should give it within 3 years. That is why I said that you maintain it for 5 years. Because adum avaru 6 months condone cheyidittundengal, 3.5 years into civil case kodutittundengal, you will not have a case sheet. Why I am saying case sheet? Because that is your evidence. Ningal cheyidadu avadeyanu. So you should be having that case sheet. And this is very, very important. And the burden of you have to prove that, they have to prove that you have allegedly done some mistake. Initially anganella. They will just accuse, you have to prove that you are innocent. Anganella. But there is something called the res ipsa loquitur. Have you heard this word, res ipsa loquitur? It's a Latin word, and it says, speaks for itself. The act, something which has happened, it speaks for itself. There is nothing to prove. The onus shifts to you to say that I am innocent. Can you give examples? Can you give an example? Yes, very good. Examples: amputation of the wrong limb, orthopedician. Removal of the wrong organ, operation on the wrong side. Don't think that this is very uncommon. Don't think that doesn't happen. It happens not only in India, it happens in US. Sridevi in a mother's brain was operated on the wrong side. Can you beat it in US? And wrong limb, wrong organ. എത്രയോ നിങ്ങൾ പേപ്പറിൽ വായിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്, ടോൺസിലെക്ടമിക്ക് പോയ പേഷ്യന്റിന് സർക്കംസിഷൻ ചെയ്തു. സർക്കംസിഷൻ ചെയ്ത പേഷ്യന്റ് ടോൺസിലെക്ടമി ചെയ്തു. ഇറ്റ് ഹാസ് ഹാപ്പൻഡ്. ഒരേ പേരായിരുന്നു, ചെയ്തു. പിന്നീടാണ് മനസ്സിലായത് മാറിപ്പോയി. So these are things which, there is nothing to argue, finished, gone. As you said, leaving an mop or an instrument inside, there is nothing you can argue about. And vicarious liabilities are there. Here, because there are medical college, here teachers are here. I think when there is a student does something, it is vicariously responsible. All the hospital, the authorities are also vicariously. But there is a difference as far as house surgeons and PG students are concerned. House surgeon will not be held responsible. It will be the head of the department who will be responsible for all acts of negligence of the house surgeon. PG is not, because you have a registration number. They have temporary register. House surgeons have a temporary registration number, and they do all under the supervision of the HOD. About they escape. But PG students, you can't escape. You will be held liable. But even HOD will be held. He is vicarious. Even if he is not involved in that case, he will be held vicariously responsible. And there is something called the mediation cell alternate, where you can at all the level of courts, you will have a mediation cell where you can mediate things. And when you mediate things, it can be fully, partially, or no settlement. When it is fully settled, you inform the court that, consumer court, you inform the court that it has been settled, mediate settle. Suppose it is partially, only those part which has been settled will be taken up, the rest the case will continue. If there is no settlement, the entire case will continue. And matters not to be referred to the mediation cell is grievous injury or death. False or misleading advertisement. See, this is very important. You will all go to corporate hospitals. They give false or misleading advertisement. You also could be prosecuted. Be careful. To say, no. Your photo is being displayed. Some product, you are being told that you are doing something which you have never heard of. Advertisement. So you should be careful. And I'll just go through. If you don't comply with the order of the commission, 25 to 1 lakh or both you will have to pay. Medical councils also can take up cases against you, and these are, abuse of professional position, adultery or improper conduct with a patient, or by maintaining an improper association with a patient. That will come under professional misconduct. Conviction by, you can lose your registration. These are all things which come under criminal offense. And soliciting of patients. Cuts, commissions is something which you should refrain. See, there are now, the laws have become more and more stringent. Pandula pole alla. Cuts and commissions. People are taking lots of cuts and commissions from hospitals, from labs. You know something? You think that no one knows what is happening from the labs. You will be surprised to know that labs, when they raided the lab, they got the data of which all doctor etra commission kodutunu. Ella itra paisa koduthu, date vechittu, check number ello undu. So don't think that no one is seeing it. Cash കൊടുത്തത് the cash എഴുതിയിട്ടുണ്ട്, എല്ലാം എഴുതി വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. So don't think. Pharma companies and people take cuts, commissions in different ways. Air travel, air ticket. There are a lot of people are doing. You may laugh at me, Srikumar endallo പറയുന്നത്. അങ്ങനെയൊന്നല്ല, ഞങ്ങൾ ഇഷ്ടം പോലെ പോകുന്നുണ്ട്. People tell. But be careful. When you will get caught, we do not know. How you get caught? See, ഈ റെപ്പാന്ന് വന്നിട്ട് നിങ്ങളെ ലൈസൻസ് ചെയ്യാം. ഈ റെപ്പ്, when he has all the details, നിങ്ങൾ എയർ ടിക്കറ്റ് എടുത്തു, നിങ്ങൾ ബാക്കി കാര്യങ്ങൾ എടുത്തു, അക്കോമഡേഷൻ ചെയ്തു, അവിടെ നിന്നുള്ള എല്ലാ സാധനവും, he has full data. When he breaks up with the management of that company, he data he uses against the company, and you fall a prey to it. And this has happened. 16 doctors, you will not believe, 16 doctors from Kerala have faced this problem. It has not come out anywhere. But we know that 16 doctors faced this problem because they went on a foreign tour with their family, and it was everything was photograph എടുക്കല്ലോ. ഇവർ എല്ലാവരും കൂടി നിന്നിട്ട്, ഏതെല്ലോ ഹോസ്പിറ്റലിലെ ഡോക്ടേഴ്സാ, എല്ലാവരും കൂടി നിന്ന് ഫോട്ടോഗ്രാഫ്, അതെല്ലാം എവിഡൻസാ. So be careful. And this is this is the MCI guideline. NMC guidelines are more strict. It has been put and then withdrawn. That is why the MCI guidelines still continuing. 10,000 gifts, 10,000 up below 10,000 you can take. 10,000 to 1,000 to 5,000 censure, 5,000, 10,000 removal for 3 months, 10,000, 50,000 removal from IMR or state medical register for 6 months. 50,000 to 1 lakh is 1 year. More than 1 lakh is 1 year. More than 1 year. Gifts, travel facilities, the same thing. Hospitality, അതായത് നിങ്ങൾ അക്കോമഡേഷനിൽ, ഹോട്ടൽസിൽ അക്കോമഡേഷനിൽ ചെയ്താലും, this is the thing. And sometimes people take you on cash, monetary gains, insurance, car loans, all these are being paid. Lok Adalat is another place where the patient can give a complaint. Actually, it is a mediation type court, where the chairman will be there, a retired judge will be there, and there is no court fee. I just rushing because Human Rights Commission, Women's Commission, these are all commissions. They don't have any statutory power. That is, statutory power means they can't punish you. They can pass adverse remarks. But Human Rights Commission and Women's Commission, 50,000 fine, nothing is going to happen. 50,000 fine, but they can pass very nasty remarks on you. And that can be used by the opposite party in the court, which is our civil court law, consumer court law, criminal court law. Human Rights Commission ingenere remark ezhudittunde. But they cannot give you punishment. They can only pass remarks. This you should know. All these 3 commissions can do that. And this is something which I request all of you, update or outdate. All of you. I think you have to keep updating yourself. To protect yourself, you have to keep updating. And this is another important thing. When you get into a problem, there will be a lot of people to come and tell you. It comes in the media, it comes everywhere. You should give a press release. You should have a press conference. You should go to the social media, reply. My advice to all of you, is a big no. Please, you don't do it. Your IMA branch leaders can do it. Your hospital management can do it. But you don't do it. Why? Because നിങ്ങൾ അബദ്ധത്തിൽ എന്തെങ്കിലും അവിടെ പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് നാളെ കോടതിയിൽ വരുമ്പം you can't change it. Because we change things according to what the complaint is. Complaint ചില സമയം will be entirely different. There will be loopholes in the complaint. Actually ചില സമയം negligent ഉണ്ടാവും. പക്ഷേ the complaint is such where we have loopholes to say that we are not negligent. അത് പോവും. Because you have told everything in the court, in the public. മീഡിയയിൽ പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞു. ഒരു പ്രസ് കോൺഫറൻസ് വെച്ച് എല്ലാം പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ പിന്നെ തീർന്നില്ലേ? You have nothing to say in the court. So for heaven's sake, how much ever your colleagues or your family tells you to don't do it, you wait. Let your hospital management do. You can easily say that our hospital man അവർക്ക് അറിയാത്തതുകൊണ്ടാണ് ഞാനല്ലേ ട്രീറ്റ് ചെയ്തത്. You can easily say. So be careful. And cyberbullying, I would say it is the new age Ravana. All those things, see, Twitter, everything, you are more well versed than I am. Youngsters, you are more well versed. But there are some things which you should remember. Is that it's aggressive, intentional act carried out by a group or individual using electronic forms of contact repeatedly and over a time against a victim who cannot easily defend himself or herself. You cannot defend yourself, but they will be attacking you. And that is cyberbullying. Their intent is to harm. There is imbalance of power. They are more powerful than you. Because there are a lot of people to support them. You are alone. And there is repetition of that. ചില സമയം 22nd of March 2025 നടന്ന 27th ഇത് പുറത്തിറക്കും. പിന്നെ ഇതിറക്കും. And they will tell doctor, so they will be constantly harassing you. So it's a there are two ways of handling it. There's a non-legal approach, there's a legal approach. Non-legal approach is one is ignore it. So just ignore it. Sometimes very small tribal things, you just ignore it. Don't go and try to respond to it. Something you have to respond to it. Some cases you have to respond. Try to get it deleted by the platform. Sometimes usually they don't delete it, but sometimes if you can convince the platforms that it is wrong and all, sometimes they delete it. Suppress it. Suppress it means you load it with, you and your friends load with other things. So many other things that the original thing gets suppressed. And legal approaches, you keep all the records. All the records should be kept. You just, what happens, many doctors come and tell, namakku idu legally poanannallo. They will be meeting il vanittu parayum namakku legally poano adu idu cheyana. You have no record of what has happened. They have told and they have deleted it. If you really want to go legally, you have to record all those things and the screenshots eduthu vekkanam. Okay, don't delete photos, emails or any other information. Take screenshots of the posts, comments, everything. Hold on to the evidence that indicates the user's identity. This is very important. Legal approach, 69A 179 IT Act 66A has been taken away by the government on the recommendation of the Supreme Court. Women have another thing, section 4 approach. The legal approach, the one is you give an advocate notice to them and say that you stop it or I'll go legally. Sometimes they stop it. Sometimes they'll continue. There is anything, if you want to give a defamation suit, remember two things. One is it is time consuming, the other one it is expensive. And don't get, because it requires not only your help, it requires the authorities' help. Police in help atyavashyana. And police will not always comply with it. These are for them, these are all small things. Avarku ishtam pole bank fraud, matte karyangalella undu. Ee endu oru doctor peril, and they are not bothered. Doctor kurchu kittette. That is what their attitude is sometimes. So don't always think that you will get justice. And regarding the legal approach, one is, this is what was said by Mark Twain. A lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is putting on its shoes. നിങ്ങൾ ഇതെല്ലാം ചെയ്യുമ്പോഴത്തേക്ക് അവിടെ എല്ലാം പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ എല്ലാം യു ബിഫോർ ആൻഡ് ദിസ് ഓൾസോ ദേ വിൽ ടെൽ ഡോക്ടർ ലീഗലി പോകാൻ പോകുന്നുണ്ട് അഗൈൻ. അപ്പോൾ ദോസ് പീപ്പിൾ ഹു ഹാവ് നോട്ട് റെഡ് ഇറ്റ് ഓൾസോ, അതെന്നാ ഡോക്ടർ എന്നാൽ ലീഗലി പോകും, എന്താ പ്രശ്നം? ഹി മസ്റ്റ് ഹാവ് ഇഗ്നോർഡ് ഇറ്റ്, ബട്ട് ദിസ് ടൈം ഹി വിൽ റീഡ് ഇറ്റ്. ആൻഡ് ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് കോൾഡ്, വാട്ട് ഈസ് കോൾഡ് the Cobra effect. Does anyone know what is Cobra effect? Cobra effect area? No. Well, this is something that happened before the independence. Delhi, there were a lot of cobras. Upon British government, what it did, British government told that if you bring a dead cobra, you will be rewarded. അപ്പോൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്തു? അവിടുത്തെ ആൾക്കാർ ഓരോ കോബ്രേനെ കൊന്നിട്ട് കൊടുക്കും. And they used to get rewards. But then Indians are very enterprising. അവരെന്ത് ചെയ്തു? They started breeding cobras. Breeding cobras. എന്നിട്ട് ഇത് കൊണ്ട് കൊടുക്കും. എന്നിട്ട് പൈസ വാങ്ങും. Soon the British government understood that this is what is happening. One fine morning they said, we have stopped giving rewards for dead cobras. And ഈ കോബ്ര ഉണ്ട്, ഇതെല്ലാം റോഡ് മേൽ അയച്ചു വിട്ടു. So the problem which was there initially, it became more worse. And that is called the cobra effect. And that is what I said, when you go legally, sometimes it would have been suppressed and people would have forgotten it. You revive it by going legally for it. And then it again, the whole thing comes up. A lot of people talking and you are nowhere. So that is called the cobra effect. And in general principles, I would say, as far as be calm, don't be angry in haste to reply, collect maximum evidences. We have to be ethical, compassionate, and should have good communication skills. Okay, I'll just rush through. This is something which all of you, I request all of you to become members of IMA and join this professional protection scheme. This is very important because I'll just rush through what this is. Because eligibility is any member of IMA KSP can be, and jurisdiction is if you are practicing within the Kerala state. There are membership that is called a single unit, that is called multiple units, that is called an enhanced unit. Okay? And single unit means you just have to pay 2,000 rupees the first year, then it comes down to, every year it comes down to 1,100 rupees, finally 1,500. So, then you have to pay only 1,500. You can take multiple units, more units, multiples of a single unit, or you can take an enhanced unit with adding 10,000. I'll tell you what is the benefit you get. If you take a single unit, the benefit is you get 10 lakh compensation for a single case and 20 lakhs for multiple cases in one single year. And if you take multiple units, you get multiple. Suppose you take 5 units, you will get 50 lakhs for a single case, compensation will be paid, and 1 crore for multiple cases in a year. Now if you take an enhanced project unit, that is a basic unit plus 10,000 rupees if you pay, then you get 1 crore, for the single unit you get 10 lakhs, plus you get extra 1 crore. So 1 crore, 10 lakh coverage you get. And what is most important is the case, the advocate's fees will be paid by the scheme. When you go to a higher court, the deposit will be paid by the scheme. The advocates will be chosen by the scheme. The version will be written by the scheme. You don't have to, you have to just provide all the evidences, the rest everything scheme will do. So you should all join the scheme is what my personal request is. Not for me, for your benefit. And they will handle cases in criminal court, civil court, consumer court, medical, all the, as I said, harassment by print, visual media, social media, even violence cases. Violence has now become very rampant. Even those cases will be taken up by the PP scheme. And members' duty is just to, you have to give all the case sheets, everything on time. And you have to, that I'll just go to. There are 2 things, you get an advocate notice or you get from the notice. Whatever it is, you have to inform the secretary of the PP scheme and the rest of the thing they will manage. But you have certain responsibilities. For that I will tell you, this is something I put everywhere. All of you should know this. See, when a case comes, first thing you do is, you have to sign a wakalat. Wakalat means you depute advocate who will represent you in the court of law. You are assigning him the duty. So you sign that wakalat. Then you send all the documents to the secretary of the PP scheme. He will file the version. That is what I said. I have cooked up, I have written stories because just one case sheet on one page, but I have written the entire, I have written 8 sheets of version for the doctor. Doctor one page ayachanna. I have written 8 pages and that will be given to the advocate. Advocate will argue on that case. So then they will be filing a proof of it. That all you don't need to know. Witnesses crossing the complainant by our advocate will cross the complainant. Complainant or question joikum. Okay. All said and done, advocate is an advocate. You are the person who knows the technical aspects. You have to discuss 1 day or 2 days prior to the advocate you're going. You should be in touch with the advocate. Advocate vakil eppa and the next hearing. You should be after it. Not that PP scheme na lights or any PP scheme nokanda. You will not believe, I am not joking. One doctor na vilchitu varnu. Hello, Dr. Srikumar alle. Dr. Srikumar alle. They said that naale ane and hearing doctor poville. I will go as a secretary. See, that much also they didn't know that they have to go, that the advocate has to go. So this is what happened. It is not my responsibility, it is the scheme secretaries. You have to follow it up with the and frame questions. Sometimes he will say, doctor, but nowadays all our advocates are well experienced. They have been handling these cases for the last 20, 25 years, so they know, they are well experienced. But still, you should go and discuss. See, when you are treating a patient, if the patient is complying with you, if you are in good, you also enjoy treating that patient, isn't it? You don't enjoy treating. Similarly, Vakil also feels that if you are listening to what he says, and you are discussing with him, he will be happy. So always discuss with the advocate. Cross examination pinna ningala cross you, avara advocate. Okay, evidence close, ningala cross you. Opposite party njangalana by their advocate. Again, you should be ready, everything. And finally, all the evidences. What I wanted to highlight, putting this, the main thing I wanted to say was that don't take trial court. What is the first court? Case, that is called the trial court. Pinna the appeal courts, higher courts. This trial court, you will be called for examination. You will not get a second chance. So when you go to the trial court, be careful, be fully prepared. No. You have to be mentally, and all your evidences, you should be proved, you should be ready. You should discuss with your friends and go. Because you will not get, there are doctors, now the case of the point, appeal no woman jump you. Then the appeal no one is going to call you. You will get only one chance. Appeal court, the advocates will be arguing with the evidences present. So, friends, I have a request that I hope you don't have cases, but if you at all have a case, trial court is the most important. You will not get a second chance. So, when you go to the trial court, make sure that you are fully ready and you are able to answer all questions, and you should think legally. You can discuss with this scheme secretary, there are district representatives who you can discuss. You can discuss with people like a lot of doctors call me before they go to the court. They discuss and then they go. So I have a request that you can discuss with our colleagues and then go to the court. So to conclude, I would say that let's accept that medical services are being subject to various forms of litigations, but there is nothing to apprehend or fear. Let us treat patients with respect for their rights, give them accepted-based treatment, standard and compassionate care, maintenance of proper records, and above all, take them in confidence as partners in care of their health. Thank you. Stay strong. Stay safe. I'm open to questions. You can ask.
If anyone have any queries, please ask.
Any questions? Either you have understood everything or you have not understood anything. Yes. See, okay. The question asked by him is whether there is difference between PP scheme and national PP scheme. Yes, there is a difference. The difference is only this much, that national PP scheme is run by the national IMA. I am now the secretary of the national PP scheme. In the national PP scheme, the coverage is throughout the country. In any part of the country you stay, we will give you coverage. PP scheme of IMA Kerala State, The jurisdiction is only within the state of Kerala. Even if you are a member of IMA KSB, but you are working in Karnataka or in Tamil Nadu, and an incident has happened there, you will not get coverage. But if you are a member of the National PP scheme, wherever you stay, wherever you work, it will cover. And charges a little more high. It is 2,000, that is 3,000 initially. That's the only difference. Otherwise, the same. The coverage is same, 10 lakhs and 20 lakhs for multiple cases. Enhanced scheme is there, multiple units is there.
Sir, what is your perspective about the defensive practice among the doctors now? What is your word on that topic?
Yeah, that's a good question. Defensive practice. I said that nowadays doctors start up practicing defensive practice. That is, you don't take risks. Suppose there is an accident. Namada accident, let me tell it's Talisheri. Talisheri hospital the doctor sees, he thinks that if he switches it up, he can save the life of the patient. But then, at the back of his mind, he thinks, ഞാനിത് ചെയ്തിട്ട് എന്തെങ്കിലും സംഭവിച്ചിട്ട് പേഷ്യൻ്റ് എല്ലാം ഡെത്തായിട്ടുണ്ട് അവരെൻ്റെ പേരിൽ കേസ് കൊടുക്കും ചിലപ്പോൾ എന്നെ അടിക്കും അതിലും നല്ല എന്നാ എന്നെ കോഴിക്കോടേക്ക് അയക്കാം അവരോട് പേഷ്യൻറ്റിനോട് പറയും വേഗം കൊണ്ടുപോയിക്കോ സീരിയസ് ആണ് ഇപ്പം കോഴിക്കോട് കൊണ്ടുപോയിക്കോ if two doctors are doing, one doctor says no, he takes the risk, suture ചെയ്തു patient dies, ഇവരെ അറ്റാക്ക് ചെയ്യും പോലീസ് കേസ് കൊടുക്കും എല്ലാം കൊടുക്കും. The other doctor says വേഗം കോഴിക്കോട് കൊടുക്കുക. By the time he reaches Mahi, the patient dies. അവരെന്താ പറയുക, ആ ഡോക്ടർ നല്ല ഡോക്ടർ നോക്കിയവാട് പറഞ്ഞു സീരിയസ് ആണ് വേഗം കൊണ്ടുപോയിക്കോ. See, this is what happens. You don't take risk, but actually the first doctor has done the right thing. He tried to save the life. Our duty is to save the life of a patient, but he will not take the risk. Why should he take the risk? And we are working. See, we are not all working in the best of facilities. We have a lot of limitations in the facilities provided in each hospital is different. What is provided in a small hospital will not be what is provided in the corporate hospital. Understood? So if they will say they will say okay, you go there. But we could have saved this patient here, but with a lot of risk. You take a lot of risk. The doctor takes a lot of risk trying to save a life in a less equipped surrounding, a situation. But that he doesn't take. He doesn't take the risk. Keep on note.
If anyone have any queries, please feel free to ask.
Please raise your hand. Yeah, there's a doctor.
So, a doctor who is an IMA member has, instead of choosing the scheme under this IMA, has taken ICICI Lombard indemnity policy.
I couldn't get you.
Private, so under ICICI Lombard indemnity policy.
Okay.
So, is that fine, or should he choose the policy under the IMA itself?
See, that is that ICICI has taken up. Sometimes it may be even cheaper. They will say that they will be giving you 1 crore protection and all. They will be saying for 1,500. They will say that they have a huge battery of advocates. You ask them how many advocates and where have advocates, they will not give you the details. They will not give you the number of cases they have handled. They will say they have handled a lot of cases. We have been handling cases from 1992. 92 onwards we have been casing, and the version is written by doctors. It's not written by advocates. They will say that you ask them to name who are the doctors under a panel. Ask them to name the advocates who are under their panel. Ask them to name the people whom they have given compensation. They will not. If you ask PP scheme, they will tell you.
Okay. So it's better
That
to
is the
choose.
difference. That is the difference. That's a huge difference. Because they come and tell you, which may or may not be true.
Okay, sir. So it's better to choose the scheme under IMA, but
Yeah,
always.
definitely, it will be
Okay. Thank you, sir.
It's an in-house thing. So you will have a lot of people. Suppose something happens, you can ask. There you can't ask anyone.
Good morning, sir. Sir, my question is, what is the legal status of video consent?
Pardon?
Sir, what is the legal status of video consent? Video consent. Consent, video.
Video, very good. That I forgot in that consent. See, video consent can be taken in any case, but it's not mandatory. There is one place where it is mandatory. Can anyone tell me? It is mandatory. You have to take video consent. Rest of them, you can take video consent in all cases, but it's not at all mandatory. But there is one place where video consent is mandatory. Thank you very much for that question. I forgot in that thing. Can anyone tell me? Organ donation. Organ donation is the only place where you cannot do without video consent. Rest, video consent is good. But when you go for a video consent, you should inform the patient that you are taking a video consent. That you are video recording the whole thing. You are video recording, they are not aware of it. That has to be told to the patient that consented, that you are video recording this consent. That is important. But organ donation, you cannot do without video consenting. Rest is not mandatory, but it is welcome. It's much better than written, because you have been telling everything you can tell the patient. But doctors don't do it because doctors directly don't take consent. Satyadana. It's in-house, that is why I'm saying. അവർ നേഴ്സസിനെ കൊണ്ട് അടുപ്പിക്കുക. എന്നിട്ട് പറയുമ്പോൾ ഞാൻ എല്ലാ കോംപ്ലിക്കേഷൻസും പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ട്. So this is what happens. Thank you so much for that question.
So, any feedback from first year PGs for this session, because we conducted this for you, mainly focusing first year PGs, postgraduate students. So, what is your feelings after concluding this session? Because sir is also interacting everything detail.
He wants a question.
Sir, for very high-risk patients, we usually take death-on-table consents.
Pardon?
For very high-risk patients, we usually take death-on-table consent. Is it valid in the court of law?
Yes, it is valid. It is valid. But you have to explain it properly. It's not that you just write a death on table eduthu maatralla. There should be that you have explained to the patient the risk, and that they have to sign that. That is valid. It's not that it's not valid.
Any
Yes, one.
Sir, I have already asked you one question. Another one question. Sir, what about this blanket consent? I think 2022 we have got a stay in that blanket consent. What is the legal status of that blanket consent?
Consent is something which, when patients enter hospital, one form is given. I agree to all the procedures, all these things. That is injection kodukkanum mattadannallana. But if you are going to do a procedure, suppose even you are going to do an IND, you have to take a separate process. Written consent. The blanket consent is, ഞാൻ എല്ലാ ഇൻവെസ്റ്റിഗേഷൻസിനും തയ്യാറാണ്. ഇറ്റ്സ് ജസ്റ്റ് നിങ്ങൾ ബ്ലഡ് ഡ്രോ ചെയ്യുന്നു, ഇൻവെസ്റ്റിഗേഷൻ ചെയ്യുന്നു, ഇറ്റ്സ് ഓക്കെ. യു ഡു ബ്ലഡ് ടെസ്റ്റും ചെയ്യുന്നു, ഓക്കെ. ബട്ട് ഇഫ് യു ആർ ഗോയിങ് ടു ഡു an FNAC, you will have to take a separate consent.
Sir, my question is that are we for or are we against this blanket consent as doctors?
We are not, it doesn't have much as I said, why is the consent being taken? It's not for the patient, for us. That we should basically understand. Consent is for our protection. How much it protects us? It depends on individuals. And that is usually made by the institution authorities. They say that, doctors are in Allah. But if the doctors think that a blanket consent, you can do anything, then it's highly mistaken. A consent, a blanket consent, no. So if you are going to do a procedure, even if it's an FNAC, any other procedure, IND, you will have to take care of this.
Sir, for small procedures like OP procedures, shall we go for a written consent or can we go with an oral consent?
No, if you are putting a knife, you are causing an injury to the patient, you have to take consent. Oral consent, you can take an oral consent. You don't have to take a written consent. But if you are going to do something more beyond that, LPJ, you will have to take a written consent.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions?
Ultrasonography, you are doing a pervaginal ultrasonography, you have to take a written consent. It's very important. People don't take. And radiologists have got into problem because of that. Gynecologists have got into problem because you have to take a written consent for that. Otherwise, you don't have to take a consent. When a patient has come for an abdominal scan or you have come for antenatal scan, you don't have to take a consent for it. But if you're going to do a pervaginal ultrasonography, you will have to take a scan. Per rectal you have to take a consent.
So, as we conclude this highly insightful and engaging session on litigation and medical practice current scenario, Dr. Srikumar Vasudevan, your comprehensive and practical insight into the legal challenges faced by medical professionals has been truly enlightening. The clarity with which you addressed complex medico-legal issues, shared real-world scenarios, and provided practical guidance on safeguarding our professional interest is immensely valuable. On behalf of KMCT Medical College and Department of Postgraduate Studies and Research, we are deeply grateful for your time, expertise, and dedication in sharing this vital knowledge with us. To honor and express our appreciation, I now invite Dr. Jayakrishnan T., Professor and Head of the Department of Community Medicine, to kindly present a memento to Dr. Srikumar Vasudevan as a token of our gratitude and respect.
Hello. Tea has been arranged outside the venue. Please enjoy your tea. Thank you.